Since we started this work with Sammy a couple of years ago, the way that people even think about work has changed, and it's a change for the better. Where a few years ago it was an easy excuse for people to believe that work couldn't be planned, that there'd be enough things that would just happen that would interrupt a plan that made no sense, that they should bother to put the plan together to start with. And that's no longer the case. People expect that a plan will be put together. They expect the plan will be followed. They know that it won't always work out, but people are holding each other accountable for following through on executing that plan. We also see a lot more discipline in the organization around data, so that we are making more data-based decisions. So rather than an arm wave and someone saying, this must be the right answer because, or I know it's always been this way, there's a greater desire to use data to make decisions. So we have much more robust KPIs, for example, that allow us to monitor performance and take action when we see things that are deviating from what would be expected. And I see that those changes have occurred not just in the field and not just in the office environment, but in both. And so during the course of work with Sammy, we developed a new language in the company that allows people to speak more clearly to each other about equipment reliability and about the things that undermine equipment reliability. And I probably shouldn't have used the word equipment just now, because it's more than the equipment. It's actually the whole of the work process. So it's to get the whole of the work process reliability up to a high level and then constantly look for improvements in that area. And we have been very successful, I believe, in changing the culture of the organization so that people are looking for and expecting high reliability out of the equipment and our work processes and our people, which is what we set out to do at the beginning. The improvements that we achieved through this project working with Sammy are very clear. We have much lower levels of deferment now, production deferment now, than we had prior to the beginning of the work, and we know with higher accuracy and higher level of confidence what the causes of the deferment that we have today is. And so that's important to allow us to continue to improve. Another area is around the productivity of our staff. And I'm thinking now in particular of the staff that are involved in operating and maintaining the equipment at our onshore and offshore locations. And that is demonstrably better, that we have much higher levels of productivity from our own people. And that has translated into better equipment. So during this time, we also went through some fairly significant staff reductions. And in spite of that, we were able to maintain the equipment now at a higher level of reliability and get better performance out of that equipment than we were able to do before. In the area of cost, we've seen a clear cost reduction that it at least is partially attributed to the work that was done here. And our safety performance is also at historic levels. So we are doing well from an HSE perspective, well from a cost perspective, a deferment perspective, and a production deferment perspective, all of which are directly contributed, or the success is directly contributed to by the project that we did with Sammy. I guess from a different perspective, those are hard results that are hard to dispute and are important. But I also think there's some soft side benefits that are very important also. And I think that this work has helped us recognize that we can change the work environment. We can do things different than what we used to do. It's not always fun and easy to go through those changes, but I think our workforce has matured in part because of the work that that we successfully completed on this project. One of the methods that Sammy, or tools that Sammy brought to the table that was especially useful to us was that of developing a strategic plan. And through a very structured approach that started with an assessment of where we are and resulted in a very detailed summary of the work that was done and a clear plan for a path forward. Sammy had tools at every step along the way to help us work through that. I had never participated in a strategic planning exercise. I had thought about what it would be like, and so I needed the help. As the leader of that team that was doing the work, I needed someone that could help introduce me to the tools that were necessary to be used to be able to complete that work in a timely fashion. And the Sammy consultants involved were able to bring those tools to bear, and we were able to develop a strategic plan in about a 3-month time period. That plan has withstood the test of time, and here it is a couple of years afterwards, and we're still pretty much on track with where we said we would be after this time period has elapsed. So I was very pleased with the techniques, the tools that Sammy was able to bring to the table for us. Sammy has some very good people who have very solid tools and techniques that they bring to the table to help companies like ours succeed. They provide sufficient challenge, I believe, to affect change in an organization. And sometimes I wasn't happy with what was being said, but I was always happy to have Brad or somebody else speak up and say what he did, whether he thought it was the politically correct thing or not. He spoke his mind. And I would say that was true, that kind of behavior was true with all of the consultants that we worked with. So I felt like the consultants were ethical, they were honest, they were competent in their areas of expertise, and were able to speak with authority and with confidence as they helped us change. Well, if I were in a position, in a role where I needed some support from a consultant that had the competencies of Sammy, I would consider hiring them again for the work. They met my expectations on this project with Shell, in some ways exceeded those expectations, and frankly I have high standards, so to exceed my expectations says quite a bit. So yes, I would hire them again.